All right, guys, welcome back to the Consecrated Seed here. Today we have Raya The Glimmering Harpy here with us today. Content creator, gamer slash streamer. So today I'm here just to ask questions, whether it's content creator wise or either pop culture. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So the first question, how long have you been a content creator? That's something I've never really known.
Yeah, so as far as like me making my own content, it
hmm
started about like maybe almost 3 years ago.
3 years? Okay.
Yeah, I mostly started out as an audience member. So a lot of my
Okay.
friends were already content creators, and I would go to their streams, and eventually they started inviting me on and encouraging me to make my own content. So then I started game streams and then podcast streams. So that was like almost 3 years ago.
Oh wow, that's what's up. Yeah, I have one friend that's a content creator. And it wasn't because of him, surprisingly.
What happened?
It was more so I seen like other people doing stuff on YouTube. I'm like, I think I could do something like this. People reviewing stuff, talking about anime and stuff like that. And it kind of at first for me, it was like I wanted to do like motivational stuff, but I grew bored with it. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like sometimes I have to like stick to one or two different things or else I get
hmm
overwhelmed because of all the ideas I have. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, nah, this ain't it. I was like, I love the idea of just throwing the picture art together, but then I was like, no,
No, I think you're doing an awesome job. You're one
yeah,
of like the most consistent on
yeah,
top of it creators that I keep following and stuff. So I'm really stoked that your channel's growing. You're collaborating with so many different people. You're just very welcoming and
yeah.
you support other folks too. So you're all
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
yeah. That's what it's about. Yeah, you got to support the people. Can't just be one way. So yeah, definitely, I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah. You know what? What I could say about you is like your live streams. You have really dope live streams. I think that's really cool. Hey guys with the pen, thanks for tuning in.
Hello. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, totally.
yeah. So now my next question is something that's interesting. I know everyone has a different answer for it. What is your favorite process when it comes to making content?
Wow, that's a tough one. So for
Okay.
me, like I mentioned, I have to, like stick to one or two different topics. So for me,
Okay.
it was gaming and movie news. Like those are the
Right.
main two things. If you come on my channel or you come to like, my X profile, Twitter or whatever, like
Yeah.
those are the two main things that I talk about. And yeah, those are just not only just because I want to narrow it to two different things, but because those are the two main things that I enjoy talking about outside
Okay.
of like real life stuff. Like
Okay.
I come on the internet to, not talk about real life. So those
Okay.
are, yeah, so that's what motivates me. And what's cool is that so many different people that I follow, they love video games and they love movies and TV shows and stuff. So I get like the whole, gambit of folks coming on my profile and sharing stuff that, oh, you're a gamer, but I see that you like, X, Y, and Z. Like, oh, you're a fan of
Yeah.
Spawn. Oh, you're a fan of Blade. I'm just like, yeah, we could talk about that now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. For me, it used to be editing. I used to hate doing editing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I remember
It
some of
takes
my
time.
yeah, some of my subscribers was getting at me about the editing. You gotta get into editing. I'm like,
You wouldn't be able to put as much content out if you have to edit everything. So it's kind of a give and take.
It is. It really is. And I think for me, with editing, I think because I wasn't really familiar with, sometimes you see things, you're like, I like it this way. And there was a content creator, that was doing videos, right? And he was doing thumbnails. I didn't even have thumbnails at that time. And this dude was getting views like he had no thumbnail. It was just a certain part of the video. He made it into a thumbnail.
Wow. I know it just be certain people, that like gets the lucky wave in the algorithm.
Yeah, hey, YouTube was like, nah, bro, it's time for you to get at her. I was
No,
like,
totally.
dang.
I'm like, darn
Yes.
it. Yeah, it can take months too. Like even
Yeah,
I didn't, blow up overnight. Like I said, 3 years to just barely get to where I am now. Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah, that's true. And like I said, for me, I was thinking like, dang, I'm like, I see this person doing this, so so well without the thumbnails. Nah, YouTube email like, hey, look, that's not working for you. You got to find another lane.
You're doing amazing work though. You're consistent. Like I can only just, hype you up so much because you're on top
Yeah.
of, your channel growth and the content output. So those are the two things, consistency and volume. So you've got
Oh
that,
yeah.
on roll.
Yeah, that's true. And believe it or not, you wouldn't believe I wasn't always consistent either.
Well, like I feel like I've been following you for like over a year, so maybe almost 2 years, and you
Mhm.
definitely have like increased your output and your quality too. And you started to focus more on like the pop culture stuff and some gaming stuff
Yeah,
incorporated. So I think you
yeah.
found a rhythm, and you're going to continue to grow, I'm sure.
Okay. And the other thing was thumbnails. Thumbnails was also another problem because sometimes thumbnails will be hard to find things that you can kind of throw into a picture and stuff. And I got a story. I don't know if you guys want to hear this, but this is an
I do.
untold story from Il Blurmatic. I almost got a copyright for the Boondocks thumbnail. Like I didn't even know. Like it was like they sent me. I think it was like I want to say Twitter. They sent me an inbox. They're like, yeah, we see you used our picture. And I'm like, yeah, but it was just to kind of explain the show. It wasn't like I was trying to make a book or, you know what I'm saying, something out of it. It was just like I was using it for that. It wasn't like, hey, I'm using it for other things. I'm like, no.
Oh, you want to know something that I recently found out from my other content creator friends? So
Hmm.
if it's like the whole like new Superman movie that's coming out. There's all these there's all these set photo leaks and stuff, and
Yeah.
some of it is not supposed to be out there. That was taken by like unauthorized photography. So some folks
Wow.
they're very cautious about sharing those exact photos on their
Yeah.
shows or on their channels because it can be a content claim or whatever, because
Yeah.
that's content that shouldn't be out there.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah.
You,
So just like for folks listening too.
yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Ray. I appreciate it. Oh, what's going on, Real Nerd Review? Thanks for
What
tuning
up?
in. So my next question is a two-part question, and this is something that I always wonder about people's names when it comes to content creators. So the first question is, your content creator name, has that always been the one that you have now?
So funny story. So
Hmm.
my brand name came from when I used to make enamel pins, stickers,
Okay.
patches. I used to go to all these different shows and I would have booths and then sell my merch there with other, like fan merch and stuff being sold. So I
Okay.
called myself the Glimmering Harpy because I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And I thought glimmering was a really, nice, pretty adjective. And I liked that, I wanted to call myself, originally the Prancing Pony from it's that
Okay.
tavern in Lord of the Rings. So like
Yeah.
I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, but I didn't want to, rip that off because I'm not going to focus primarily on Lord of the Rings. So I
Right.
wanted to make it like a similar format. Oh, the Prancing Pony, oh, the Glimmering Harpy. I was like, oh, the Glimmering Harpy, that sounds like a tavern name. I'll go with that.
That's a good one. I kind of figured yours was Yu-Gi-Oh based. I was like,
Yeah,
man, this gonna gotta be
it
Yu-Gi-Oh
is.
based.
Yes, 100.
Yeah, I was like, wow. But the other one I think would have been cool. But I feel like this one's like this name sticks better for you. Like, you know how certain kinds of names stick out for you. I'm like, that one sticks better than the other one that you had in mind.
Oh, yeah, and then I would love to hear the story behind your username.
So mine's I had other consecrated names. I didn't stick by the majority of them. I had Ambitious Brother 101, which is the one. What's going on? I'm at work. I want to pop up. Thanks for doing that, guys, with the pin. I appreciate it. What's going on, Upward Nimbus? I appreciate that as well. So originally I had Ambitious Brother 101. Then I had PCS. Then I had PCS Live. And then I had like I want to say PCS Live with an exclamation point. So that was like the S-Man influence with the PCS Professor Charles S Live. And then one day I kind of got tired of my name. Like people were just weren't saying it right. They were giving it their own flair to it and everything. And I'm like, that's not working. So one day I just thought about it. I said, well, I looked on YouTube actually. There are not many people with blurred with their consecrated name. And then I thought about like the Nas hip hop album because I am a hip hop
Yes.
head after all.
I was literally about to say that. Illmatic. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, Il Blurmatic. This sounds like it'll be something unique. It's different. No one has the name. So I was like, this might be the
It
one.
flows, just like that album, yeah.
Yeah, so and it took a while. I know some people didn't like the idea of it, but there were people that enjoyed the new name. They like, I love this name. It's better than the old. And I'm like, that's what I wanted to hear because I know people didn't like the old name and just were saying like they put what is it PCSC, and I'm like, y'all just gonna make me a name, huh?
No, I love what you came up with. It's a good brand name for sure. Very memorable.
Yeah, and like I said, I wanted something that was different that kind of stood out. What's going on, Thousand Star? So
Yo, what's up?
you I guess you pretty much explained question two.
I hope
I
so.
was,
If you want any clarification, I'm happy to give it.
no, I mean you said it was Yu-Gi-Oh based. I kind of
Yeah.
figured that. If I thought about like a Yu-Gi-Oh content creator name, it'd probably be Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure you could come up with like a really clever one too. So
Yeah.
I just love Harpy Lady. Like when I play Yu-Gi-Oh,
Hmm.
usually it's on the video games, and I run a Harpy Lady deck all the time. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, so that's your favorite card. That's
yes,
that's that's dope.
yeah.
Subri, what's going on, bro? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, so yeah, that's dope. Cause like I said, I always, sometimes you think it's this and then you think it's another thing. But yeah, it's good to know that it was Yu-Gi-Oh based because I know who was that? Zap. I thought Zaps was a
Oh yeah.
Pokemon name, but she told me like, no, that's not it. So at least I was pretty close to yours on this one.
No, you were spot on.
Yeah. So my next question is, who inspired you or lit up to making content?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, my friends that I
Hmm.
create content with, and one
Okay.
friend that I'm like, collabing a lot more with, his name is Mad Max,
Okay.
Movies, Madness, and Entertainment. He goes
Okay.
by Mad Max.
All
And
right.
yeah, we've been, hanging out, making content creator together, and he's been my friend for, over 3 years.
Okay.
So yeah, he's just, been a consistent, supporter of me and always encouraging me. In fact, he's one of the main reasons why I took a break from content. Like I'm sure a lot of folks noticed,
Okay.
there's a huge gap in time on my content, but he was like really, really like encouraging me for the longest time. And right when like I had like lost motivation or I got burnt out this year, I was like committed to trying again. So he was a big motivation for me.
Oh, it's great that you're back. Yeah,
Yes,
I
thank
kind
you.
of figured you might have had a hiatus going on. I just didn't know
Yeah,
exactly what, but yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's always good when you have people that are like that in the lane that want you to come back, make content, collaborate
yeah.
with on and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing.
Thank you.
So, my next question for you is live streaming content easier versus making videos as a content creator? Because I know you do both.
Oh yeah. So with live streams, so
Hmm.
I'm kind of I obsess over details so much, and sometimes that burns me out a lot. So when it comes
Okay.
to live streams and even videos,
Yeah.
I try really hard to present them in a way that I would want to see them as a viewer.
Okay.
So I am always very conscious about a schedule, a script, giving time and scheduling out different topics and giving the guests a heads up as far as like, hey, this is who's going to be there. These are the questions I'm going to ask you. Is all of this okay? And then I try to design the stream layout around like the
Okay.
theme of the show. I try to, make a good marketing thumbnail as well. Try to let everyone know maybe like a few days advance. So those things I definitely obsess over when it comes to streams. And then when it comes to videos,
Hmm.
I can kind of be in the cut, kind of working on it, not have to tell everyone every move that I'm making. And then I can just drop the video link as soon as it's out because I don't want to necessarily announce it while I'm still making it. So yeah, that's what I like is that with videos I can like more or less take my time with those and not feel pressure to let everyone know, hey, set your reminders or hit the notification bell to catch the show. So I would say that with live streams I tend to do a little bit more prep work, and
Okay.
because I'm obsessing more about the details. So I think that is actually a little bit more challenging for me personally.
Okay. That's a good answer. Yeah, that's definitely a good answer. Like you said, with live stream is more of a prepping thing, and like you said, promo as well. And whereas with videos, it's kind of like, well, you kind of me. I used to, and you know what? You brought up a good point. I used to like post like my thumbnails before I did videos. And I guess sometimes that wasn't really a good idea. I'm starting to see that now. Like, you have like that realization moment, like this this is not working out like I thought it should. But I think you're right about that. I think when you do videos, you don't want to just throw the thumbnail out there. I mean, you may just joke about it. I know me, I joke about it sometimes with gifts, I guess, or just say, "Hey, I got a new video on the way." But yeah, you're definitely right about that. Upper Nimbus said, "Yep, I'm always assessing over quality of content creation. That's why I only upload every 3 weeks or so." I feel
It
that
really
really.
it really be like that. Yeah, no, totally Nimbus.
Yeah, I remember there was a content creator, and I mean, I, props to this person. Me, I'm not that type of person. There used to be a content creator that is no longer a content creator now. She used to do one video a month and was getting and doing extremely well with it. I never understood it. I was amazed by it. I was like, you mean to tell me you put out a one video a month and this is what you're doing? Like she was doing really good. I was impressed. She was like, you should get on and do this. I'm like, one video a month just wouldn't work for me. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, it just was so chill about it, and I was just shocked.
You know what's so funny is that, like, I
Mhm.
noticed that with, folks who get a lot of views on, like, one video, but it's very, sporadic when they, put out videos. Yes, they get higher views, but not necessarily growth. So folks like you who put out, a lot of volume and you cover very, like, on like, new topics every day, you're gonna see more consistent growth than someone who just, drops one video. It might get, like, a spike in views, but that's really gonna level out. You're getting views, like, consistently, like throughout the timeline of your channel life. So I think you're doing like the best job that you can do for you for the type of content that you want to put out.
Yeah, yeah, and that was something that I argued with that content creator about. I'm like, look, the type of stuff I'm putting out is
Yeah.
not gonna work if I did it
Yeah,
that way.
you're two different, species.
Right. Yeah, because I was just like, yeah, I was just amazed by it. But yeah, like you said, the output would be different because she's putting out one video versus maybe dropping 3 or 4 or 5 videos a month. Yeah, and like I said, everybody has I guess, a different way of getting their audience to come to check it out. So I was always fascinated by it. I was like, man, even though she's only putting out one video a month, she's doing really good. But like you said, in the long run, she probably did struggle due to not putting out as much. And that was something I always brought up to her. I'm like, why are you just putting out one video?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally hear you too. And it's kind of amazing too at the same time. But I
Yeah,
know that with folks that who do like, do those, videos that drop very seldomly.
yeah.
Yeah, they are, this is a word that I use often, evergreen. So
Hmm.
they're pretty much, relevant, ongoing. Like they might be like, I'm not sure what your friends' topics are, but usually when I see evergreen content that doesn't get old, it doesn't age, it's usually like top 10 lists, or it's usually like a movie analysis or some sort of analytical video of
Hmm.
something that of a product or like a movie or video game that isn't going to change. Like it's already released and ongoing. People are going to continue to search for it, and perhaps their video might pop up in the top, feed of recommended videos and stuff. So those are some of the aspects that I've seen as far as like videos like
Okay.
that. But like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna restate that, since you're aiming for growth and consistency, that
Right.
out your volume is what's important for you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And like you said, she was doing like product reviews, makeup, all this other stuff. And I was like, wow, like she was able to find her way with it. But like you said, I guess maybe more people may have been more interested in that type of stuff. So yeah, that's a good one. So my next question is something that I said, you know what, I'm gonna ask this. What is your favorite movie genre if you have one or more?
Okay, this may or may not surprise some people, but my favorite
Okay.
movie genre is mafia movies.
What? I'm
I know,
surprised.
so random, right? Yeah, so like the reason I say that is because my favorite movie ever is The Godfather Part 1, and I love Part 2. Don't get me wrong, but Part 1 just is like near and dear to my heart. Like
Okay.
and I love movies like Goodfellas and The Untouchables and The Irishman. Like Robert De Niro, like pretty much in anything, I'm gonna sit down and watch. So he's like
Yeah.
one of my favorite actors. So I'm definitely like because he's so like good at character acting in so many different roles. It
Yeah.
was easy for me to like kind of dive into his back catalog. And plus Martin
Okay.
Scorsese, like he's a great director, but
He
he
really is. Yeah.
he like shines in his true crime mob content. So when those two get together, Scorsese and De Niro, that's going to be a bomb. That's going to be a banger for sure. So that's kind of what triggered it, is those two.
Okay. Wow. I never expected. You know what I thought? What you were gonna say? Because I've
What?
seen it on your timeline. I thought you were gonna say horror.
Well, I mean, yes, I'm getting more into horror, but
Yeah.
so here's the thing, like it's
Hmm.
not surprising probably, but not many people on my feed or in my follows really talk about mafia movies. So
Okay.
I don't really talk about it because it's not going to engage anyone. So that's why I kind of like keep it to myself, because no one really is gonna, vibe with it. Or at least like that's what I've seen as far as like what other people post. But you
Oh
never know.
wow. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I do like the mobster movies. I mean, there are a couple different genres. Horror is growing back on me. I would say the Jordan Peele, his horror movies were the reason I got back into the horror genre, and also the James Wan Conjuring One. Those movies were the ones that kind of got into it. Oh, thanks for tuning in, Synthesizer Zero. I appreciate it. So yeah, I think for me, horror, I'm starting to get more back into. Like, I'm looking forward to like the next Conjuring movie, the final one. I hope it's better
The
than the
final
last
one.
two. Yeah, I hope it's yeah, I hope it's better than the last two movies. The first one was always, to me, was my favorite one. And then the Annabelle movies were actually pretty good. But yeah, the mobster movies, yeah. I mean, I like Goodfellas, American Gangster, Public Enemies, Scarface.
Yes, yeah, Scarface for sure. Al Pacino
Yeah,
is another good one I always sit down to watch.
yeah. Godfather, like you said. I think my favorite Godfather's movies is the first two. The third one,
Yeah.
it was okay. It was a little different.
Yeah, yeah. So many of like my one or two friends who do like mafia movies, who can speak to them. Yeah, there's a conversation around part three that is a lot more like complex. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it was like when I seen three, I'm like, oh, come on. This could have been as good as the first two.
It was too hard, like those movies were already legends by the time three came out.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I gotta say, even what was the other movie? There's another movie that I forgot to mention. The Irishman. Yeah, the other,
Yes.
not the Kill the Irishman, but the Irishman with Johnny Depp. That was pretty good too. You seen that?
Oh, was that Black Mass or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then he was also in Public Enemies. So yeah, those are the two. Oh, and he was in Donnie Brasco. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
Depp has been doing some like pretty decent mob movies as well. So
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. So yeah, like I said, yeah, I would have never guessed that. I thought for sure. I said she'll probably say horror because I'm like, but yeah, it's cool that you have other people that are into the mobster movies and stuff. Have you seen what is that, Casino?
That's on my list. I know it's like supposed to, I'm supposed to watched it by now, but I haven't gotten to
It's
it yet. It's on there. It's on the
it's
list.
all good. It'll have you. I would say this: once you see Casino, it may have you looking at the casinos differently. How the way it ended. Joey Pesci, Robert De Niro, and the other actors that were in that movie, man, it was great casting.
No, for sure. It's a lot of the same cast from Goodfellas, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's wow, that's interesting. So, my next question is something that video games have come a long way when it comes to movies and TV shows. So, do you think there is a golden age when it comes to video game movies and TV shows?
So like with video games, I
Hmm.
feel like movies more or less just haven't been the best format to tell those stories, because
Okay,
with video games, they
right.
tend to be, 20 plus hours long for a lot of like, the action adventure, like the really like story dense ones.
Okay,
Those ones you need more than like 2 hours to tell the story. So I think shows like Fallout and what's other ones? The Last of Us
Last of Us,
and
yeah. Hmm.
Twisted Metal. Like that's actually one that a lot of people like were surprised is so good. That's the one with Anthony Mackie in it.
Yeah, I gotta see
Yeah,
that. I haven't seen it
yeah,
yet.
yeah. It's on streaming. So I
Okay,
think those shows are really good examples of why you should keep adaptations of video games to
right,
a streaming platform, because then you could actually flesh out the story the way it was meant to be told
right.
for the fans who are backing that IP. And then if you want to introduce it to new fans, like with Fallout, a lot of people who watched Fallout never played the video games, but they love the show. So I think
Me?
yeah, so like that's a good example of like why you would want to have a TV show in order to ease new people in and then also please the fans.
Yeah, yeah. I would say video game movies and TV shows, they come a long way. I gotta be honest. I would say Mario, when it came to the movies, was the big success. Super Mario, the 3D animated movie. It's the one in the 90s I just didn't really care for. I'll be honest with you. I've seen it, but it just didn't really keep my interest. I mean, there were good actors in it, but I was just like, this ain't about nothing.
Oh yeah, it was just sort of like
Yeah.
it felt more like if Mario was like in the same world as like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I
Yeah.
think that's what it was trying to ride the wave of with the same
Yeah.
sort of presentation and stuff like that. I'm like, this isn't working out. Sorry.
Yeah. And the real nerdy reviews are either y'all going to see Wolverine and Deadpool. Yep. You already know.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I'm actually going to San Diego Comic-Con. So like
Okay.
I'll be there when the movie premieres. It won't be premiering at the convention. I'll have to go to the movie theater with my friends to go see it.
Okay.
So but yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, I seen the trailer. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm glad they didn't do too many trailers. I think it would have gave it away if they
Yeah.
would have did like, too many trailers for it. And Synthesizer Zero said Fallout got me actually interested in the game. Agreed, man. I seen the show and I'm just like, man, I was just blown away by that show. I was like, I seen it and it's like, and people were talking about it at work and they're like, yeah, you gonna check out Fallout? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. And I watched the first 3 episodes back to back.
Yeah, I still need to watch it. All my friends have been recommending it. Okay, so like when it comes to, I'll answer your other question about comic book movie adaptations. So
Okay.
with like Deadpool and Wolverine, for example,
Hmm.
like that's going to make $1 billion, I'm sure. But like when it comes to all these other movies that have been coming out, they like the Marvels is a good example. That one just hemorrhaged money. Like it cost like hundreds of millions of dollars to produce and market, and it didn't even make like half of that back. So
Right.
I think like when it comes to how many comic book movies come out, I think like one of the issues is that there is a focus on characters that the public hasn't really gotten the chance to connect to. So when it comes to like the Marvels, like we did have the TV shows and we did have Captain Marvel like a few years later,
Right.
but yeah, there was just periods of time where we did not see these characters for a while. So when they just pop up on the screen, we're just wondering, okay, where are you like chronologically from the other movies that we just watched? And like I said, since we don't have any connection to them, that's really in depth, like we did with Captain America and Iron Man, it's going
Right.
to be a harder sell. So that's why I actually think that Captain America Brave New World is actually going to do a lot better because it has that title of a Captain America, and we're familiar with Falcon
Yeah.
as his sidekick, and then we know that he took up the mantle to become Captain America. So that's,
America.
I
Yeah.
think that they're setting that up more for success than they did with the Marvels for sure.
Yeah, I believe so. They mentioned that this is going to be as big as Black Panther is what they're projecting. They said, look, we wanted to be as big as Black Panther. I said, wow.
That's
They
pretty
put,
ambitious, yeah.
yeah, they put some money into that. Real dirty. You said, damn, you lucky to dreams to make it to Comic Con, bro. If you got a wife, girlfriend, kids, bro, you can even go solo to the cons, bro. It's fun. Yeah, give it a chance, man. It's never
No,
too late.
no,
Just
definitely.
yeah, like I said, and look at and then depending on where you live at, they have stuff online too. Like I said, if you don't know about cons, there all you gotta do is search cons in my state or cons wherever city you're in. I'm pretty sure something will pop up. Yeah. So for me, I don't know. Video game TV shows. Now I will say this: Netflix has really been doing a good job with video game TV shows. I saw. Did you see the second video game series that they have on Netflix?
You said that there's a Tekken a TV series on Netflix?
Yeah, animated. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, no, no. I didn't realize that that came
Oh,
out.
yeah. So I think Netflix has really been doing a good job, besides Amazon, when it comes to like the TV shows for video game adaptations. And it was really well done. The fighting style looked like something that you saw on Tekken, which I thought was dope. I was like, oh, they really they really made sure. The animation was up to date. Like I think the last second animated movie came out like in the late '90s, and it looked a lot better on Netflix. So I was like, man, they really. And it's based off of one of the Tekken games, by the way, too. So it had the story there. The voice acting was really good. The fighting scenes looked really good. And I was like, oh man, I said, boy, Netflix out here. They like, look, we want to get a part of video game money too. I'm not mad at them.
No,
And
that's really smart.
yeah, it is definitely. I gotta say, even Last of Us impressed me. I gotta say, it was pretty darn accurate to the video game.
Yeah, definitely. I am looking forward to season 2. I watched some of it with my friends. I didn't finish season 1, but
Okay.
it's been so true to the story of
Yeah.
Last of Us that I feel like I can jump back in and still like, be able to follow everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is. I heard that they're gonna divide part two. It's gonna be a two-part season, and I think that'll work. And stuff, because the thing is, if you remember, I don't know. Have you played Last of Us, the second game?
No.
So in the second game, you follow Ellie's story and also Abby's story, which is the villain in the game. So some of Abby's story we'll learn about why she is the way she is due to Ellie killing her father, pretty much. And then we'll learn about Ellie and how she is as she's gotten older. So I think it's smart, because then you get a chance to learn about the villain, her friends, and why she is the way she is, and the betrayal within their circle of friends, from Abby's point of view, and not just the hero's point of view. I was like, hey, yo, I want that Mortal Kombat shirt. Thanks. I got this from Kohl's, man. Hey, yo, man. Stay ready with the video. I love grabbing tees, man. What's your plug? Just JC Penney's Hot Topic. Hey, man, sometimes you just gotta go online too, truth be told. But yeah, I think it's a golden age because video game movies and TV shows have come a long way. Even with Street Fighters, I was surprised that they wanted to do a new Street Fighters movie. I was like, man, even though the one in the '90s was still being, still successful, and everything, I was like, man, they really want to do this. It's kind of sad that they don't have the same directors. I heard that the original directors were YouTubers, but I guess Sony and Lionsgate said, no, we not for y'all vision. And they cut the directors, but they do have a release year, 2026, for Street Fighter. So,
I'm
we'll
looking
see.
forward to it. Yeah, I mean, I really like the team behind the gosh, they did the most recent Fast and Furious movie.
Okay.
They're like a two person team, and they also directed some episodes of Moon Knight.
Okay.
So yeah, like their visual style and like how they just focus on fun, flashy, but also very like well thought out and
Yeah.
easy to follow storytelling that's
Correct.
engaging for folks who like a deeper narrative and folks who just want a nice poppy a popcorn experience. So
Right.
they found a good balance between the two. Like it's not so over the top that it's unbelievable, and the dialogue's not so distracting that it's like unrealistic. It's actually grounded enough that even when there's like big explosions and visual effects happening, that it's still grounded enough where we can believe that the actors would be responding the way they are.
Yeah, it's about time for a new Street Fighters movie. I ain't gonna lie.
Yes, true, true.
Yeah, it's been a while. I said, boy, since the '90s for the original movie. I'm like, yeah, it's about time. I mean, I think Sonic also. I forgot to mention Sonic also was the start of video game movies kind of being successful too. I think once other gaming studio or gaming companies realized that they could make money off video game movies, now everyone wants to do it. I mean, even Nintendo has a what's the name coming out, a Star Fox TV series,
Yeah.
which I'm looking forward to. I was like, I mean, I wanted to see a movie, but I'll take a TV series. So I think that's the thing. I think they are in the age where they're becoming more popular. Even people that are not into video games are checking out video game movies and TV shows. So yeah, I think it's definitely a golden age. And like I said, I look forward to Super Mario Brothers 2. I know they did release a year for that, 2026. I want to see a Smash Brother movie.
Oh yeah, I think they're building up to it because I know that there's a Legend of Zelda
Yeah,
movie in production too. Are you looking
yeah.
forward to the new Mortal Kombat movie?
I wasn't really impressed with the last one. Now, I will say this: I do like the MK Legends animated movies. Those have been flawed. Each time I go back and watch them over again. Like even the one with Johnny Cage, I thought was freaking hilarious.
No, he's a fun character. I mean, for what it's worth, I do like the actor who's playing Johnny Cage.
Okay.
But, gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He plays Butcher in the Boys.
Oh,
But
okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
know you're talking about. I can't think of his name, but I know you're talking about. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he depicts the character.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, definitely interesting. Maybe the second one might do something for me. I don't know. I mean, some video game movies do when it comes to sequels, some don't. But yeah, the animated ones just have been really good. I was like, man, what is that? NetherRealm Studios need to just do more spin-offs on the other characters
No, I
for
agree.
movies.
Like what I noticed too, like, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit better because I'm not
Hmm.
as well versed in the DC animated universe, but a lot of folks have said that similar to what you're saying, like that the animation stories or the animated stories are a lot better than a lot of the films that have been coming out from DC Studios or even like WB and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
like what you're saying about Mortal Kombat, because I think yeah, WB owns Mortal Kombat or like
yeah,
they own the license and stuff. So it
yeah,
makes sense that the quality of the animated stories because of who they have access to at DC Studios to make animated content would be
yeah.
a little bit better because I think like the live action stuff is a different division from the animated
Yeah,
stuff.
different division. Yeah, you're right. It definitely is. And I think Warner Brothers, that's the studio that shines. Their animation studio shines, whether it's DC or Mortal Kombat animated movies, it shines really well. That's something that they've always have had a bigger success with. Yeah, every now and then you may have some stuff that's not really great, but they tend to have some good animated stuff. You're definitely right about that.
I
Yeah.
think oh, so what I'm also looking forward to is Creature Commandos. That's
Okay.
supposed to, be dropping some more news. Like
Okay.
they've been showing some character art here and there, like for
Okay.
the past like over a year, but it's always been the same, like, characters standing all together, but we don't get any shots of them in action. We don't get any animated, like, okay, what does their voice sound like?
Right.
How do they interact with one another? I want to see that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we do get to see more of that at Comic Con.
Yeah, that definitely be interesting, and maybe we'll see a new Mortal Kombat Legends movie. I mean, I'm all for that.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, so that'll be cool to see. So my next question is a very interesting one, and this one right here is something that what is your Mount Rushmore of video games?
Oh, wow. Okay, so, I'm a big fan of Spyro the Dragon. Like, that
Okay,
was the first, video game that I truly, like, connected to.
okay,
Like, and Crash Bandicoot. So those
okay,
2,
okay,
yeah, those came out this at around the same time. I think Crash Bandicoot came out a couple years earlier, and then they just sort of became, like, team the they became teamed up, I guess. Like, like one or the other, like, became like, like one promoted the other basically. So
okay.
yeah, those two. And then let me see. the other
Okay.
two heads on the Mount
Those some good
Rushmore.
choices, by the way.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. That is that's a really good question. I'm just like, what video games have I played?
It could be Nintendo, it could be Sega, Microsoft.
Oh, yeah,
Indie.
okay, thank you, you're jogging my memory. Okay, so I think, Pikachu, because I love Pokemon, and Pikachu is obviously, yeah, like,
Yeah,
synonymous with Pokemon, and
true.
yeah, I'm a big Sonic fan, so I think, like, Spyro, Crash, Pikachu, and Sonic, those pretty much, those are, like, the characters in my life that kind of defined a lot of the games that I'm into.
Okay, that's what's up.
How about you?
Uh, if I had one, it would be Pokemon. Would definitely be one. Mario, Sonic, and Crash. And I'm trying to think of another one, man. I think I got a few more than you. Let me see. Kirby. Kirby would be
Oh,
one. And if I had to do another one, maybe Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, it's a newer one because I didn't get into all the old Tomb Raider games, but yeah. The reason I say Pokemon because that was the first actual RPG I ever played. I never I played other RPGs, but the main reason I got into RPGs was Pokemon. Like I got into Mega Man Battle Network, years down the line. I was like early 2000s. But it was for Pokemon. Pokemon was the reason for that. And then with Sonic, I don't know, I just even though I didn't have a Sega system early on, I just was amazed by this little blue character rolling around, bouncing on top of things, hitting Dr. Robotnik.
oh,
I
he's
thought that,
great. I mean, we wouldn't have, or you could argue that we wouldn't have Crash Bandicoot without Sonic. Like, I
yeah,
think the developers even said, like, we want to
hmm
make a Sonic game, but from a different perspective. And then that's kind of like why, like, we got
yeah,
Crash Bandicoot games. So yeah, like,
yeah,
Sonic definitely inspired, like, like the
yeah.
last, like, 30, almost 40 years of game content.
Right. And like you said, with Sonic definitely did inspire Crash. Because I mean, if you think about it, he does the spinning versus him bouncing around on things and stuff like that. Even the extra lives. So yeah, they're definitely you can see the influence there. And I think, you know what, truth be told, that's probably one of my favorite Naughty Dog games is Crash. Right along with Uncharted and what is the other one? Last of Us. Yeah, so yeah, definitely one of my favorite Naughty Dog games. And then I said Tomb Raider. Now, I didn't get into Tomb Raider until like my college years when they rebooted Tomb Raider, which came out like in the I want to say the mid 2000s. Um, at first, I was like, she didn't look really realistic. She looked very weird on the PlayStation 1
Yeah,
and
true.
PlayStation 2. Then when I seen, because my classmate was like, yo, you should check out the new Tomb Raider. I'm like, nah. That was my first reaction. I'm like, is it any good? She like, yeah. So I went to Target, got it from Target, and then I realized, like, dang, this was better than what I thought it was gonna be. I was engaged with the story, the just the her and her best friend and everything, and the other best friend she's gonna rescue. She's hunting animals. It felt more realistic. She's finding how to solve these puzzles and got this crazy cult like villain. I was like, man, this really got me in. And I
Yeah, they really
remember
stepped up.
yeah, and I remember I played that game for like 4 days straight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I come home from college, do my homework, go back to playing Tomb Raider, and then I beat it like I want to say that fifth or sixth day. But yeah, and then after that, I just got into Tomb Raider. I was like, man, the new take on it was really good, well written. The characters kind of you could relate to, or just you like who they are. And I'm actually looking forward. I don't know if you've seen it. Netflix is doing a Tomb Raider anime series that I think is loosely based on the games that came
Yeah.
out throughout that period, the new Tomb Raider games. So I'm like, I hope it's good because I didn't like the last Tomb Raider movie. I seen it. I want to say on a streaming service, I just wasn't really impressed by it.
Yeah, that one in like the Assassin's Creed movie, they kind of, went under the radar because
Yeah,
they're really bland, so they're not very
yeah,
memorable.
that's the best way to describe
Yeah, very
it.
bland. So you just jogged my memory some more. So like with like PS2 era, like I really
Mhm.
love Ratchet and Clank, Jack
Okay,
and Daxter, and Sly Cooper. So
okay,
those were like platformers, but they were also more like action adventure-y. Like,
right,
if you're a fan of like, Tomb Raider and like Uncharted, there is some, stealth, there is like, some action and gunplay
right,
in there. And yeah, it's not just like a silly cartoony sort of like experience, like, somewhat like Spyro and Crash, like, maybe are geared more towards children, whereas with like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and
right,
Daxter and Sly Cooper, those are like for the folks who grew up, with Crash and Spyro and are looking for
right.
something a little different, a little more mature, I should say.
And you know what? I forgot to mention one. Donkey Kong. I can't forget Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's just so many to like even think of. So like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna continue to like bring the ones up.
Yeah, Donkey Kong. That's another one too. So, my next question, and this is something that I think a lot of us we enjoy an actor playing this character for so long. Will Hugh Jackman always be forever known being Wolverine in no other role?
That's a great question, and I feel bad saying this, but I think so. But at the
I
same time,
agree.
at the same time, is that really bad? Like,
It's not.
he made a whole career and like, got filthy rich off of like this one character that he doesn't really have to change the characterization of. He can just consistently be the same character over and over, and people will love it. So it made his job a little bit easier. And then at the same time, he doesn't have to worry about, oh, I can take on these other smaller movies, but it's not a big risk because he's still, making money off of the Wolverine stuff. So he can afford to go and make like, these smaller films that are probably a little bit more fulfilling for him.
Right. Excuse
But
me.
yeah, so that's what I like is that it gives him the opportunity to go and do more projects if he wants to, but still have the security of oh, I can just go back and be Wolverine like he's doing in Deadpool. So
Yeah, I think you know what there are actors where we just know them for particular characters. Like if you think of Al Pacino, you think of Scarface, right?
yeah, true, yeah,
If you think of Denzel, you could think of a couple different characters. Frank Lucas, American Gangster, Malcolm X. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I don't think it's. I agree with you on this. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that we've known Hugh Jackman being Wolverine for this long. I mean, he probably. I want to say he was definitely one of the highest paid X-Men actors. And I mean, like you said, he's pretty much wealthy. He's making a lot of money off of it. But I also enjoy some of the movies he's done that's on a smaller scale. There was just like a sci-fi movie that he did that was like a love story with a plot twist. Um, that was really good. That came out on Max a while back, and I was like, man, this was really good. Like, I wish it would have came. I don't think it came out at the edge. This came straight to streaming, and it was really good. I was like, man,
There's
but
so many good movies that drop on like Amazon, Max,
yeah,
Netflix, and it's not until like let's say you share out, your take on a movie that's on streaming. I'd be like,
yeah,
I didn't even know this came out. Like I have to like be on the app in order to know that it came out, or I'm
yeah,
not going to see any marketing unless it's like from someone on my friend list,
right.
telling me it's out there.
Yeah, but it was really good. I thought it was a good movie. I think he's having fun with playing Wolverine, man. I mean, yeah, I get that he has to go through this regiment of going on this fasting diet to get into the physical physique of playing Wolverine. But when we think about what other roles he's played in quite a bit. There's some other movie I can't think of the name of it. It's a magic movie. Hugh Jackman was good in that. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't Wolverine, but he had a memorable role. I liked him. Like I said, in the sci-fi movie that came out, I would say probably like maybe 4, maybe 5 years ago, 6. Um, and he played as something else. I can't remember it was an indie movie with the robot, Chappie. He played in that. He did a good job.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
haven't seen Chappie, but I didn't
yeah,
realize he was in it.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, he's probably well known, probably for playing Wolverine. What's going on? Hope all is well. Yeah, nerd Costa Rocha, I am, man. How's it going?
Yay! What up?
Um,
What up?
yeah, but like you said, Red, it's definitely true that even though he's known for Wolverine, he has other roles as well, which is a great thing, right? And
Oh,
that's good.
I did want to add too. So like
Hmm.
even though Hugh Jackman might be most well known for being
Hmm.
Wolverine, I think like I want to correct myself when I said
Okay.
that oh he can just be the same character Wolverine over and over again. I think with Logan, like
Hmm.
I love that movie and that was tonally like totally different from all the other X-Men movies that we've seen before. It's just its own little, set like sectioned off, story.
Right.
And you don't necessarily have to have, seen any of the other movies to appreciate it. It's nice to go in like, with some knowledge and
Right.
know, like who Xavier is and like, know that he's like aged and he's going through dementia and stuff and his powers
Right.
are unstable and like Wolverine is like, aging and kind of deteriorating and stuff like that. So there's like it's definitely like more grounded and even
Okay.
though the violence is like there's still like, hyper violence and
Yeah.
blood everywhere and stuff like that, but there is more grittiness, like the cinematography is a lot nice, a lot more I would say like the placement and the color grading and just like the settings and stuff, they're just everything was great about it and the writing too. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that that is a good example where he like Hugh Jackman could like transcend from the usual Wolverine stuff and show
Okay.
like what a good character actor he is.
Okay. Yeah, I would have to say Logan is probably my favorite out of the three Wolverine. I couldn't get into the other two. I'm not gonna lie to you. I could not get into the other two movies, and I think it was probably because it was a different director. The guy James Mangold directed Logan, and maybe that was the difference for it. Maybe it was a little bit more darker, like you said, grittier, and it had decent action within the movie and the story too. Whereas the other two movies, I felt like they were good, but they just didn't keep my interest all the way through. And I remember my one friend was like, "Oh, you're asleep watching this?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, it's not really as interesting as I thought."
Yeah.
But like you said, the third movie I think really cemented Wolverine as an older Wolverine, well, Logan at that. And like I said, I remember seeing it, and I was like, "Man, this is better than the previous two movies."
Yes.
So
Yeah.
maybe having a different director played a factor and it worked out for the best because he's actually supposed to be directing a Star Wars movie, Dawn of the Jedi, James Mangold. So I'll be willing to
Oh.
see another movie by him if it's as good as Logan, and if he's doing Star Wars, then I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Star
Yeah,
Wars is a whole other, like
yeah,
topic too that, I love following and I definitely am interested in seeing what, any sort of like news or story that gets leaked about what he's doing there.
yeah. So I'm glad that James Mangold is a director based on like a earlier Star Wars material. So I'm looking forward to him doing a movie.
Yeah.
So my next question, do you think Marvel DC can regain their status as the top money making movie genre despite the decline in the superhero box office performance?
I will say that so going back to what we were talking about with Deadpool and Wolverine, yeah,
Yeah,
that's gonna make $1 billion, obviously.
right.
But that doesn't mean the next like, one or two other movies are gonna make $1 billion. There's
Right.
gonna be like, certain titles that are going to draw more people in. So
Yeah.
I'm saying all that to kind of like go into my point of
Okay.
it's not necessarily like all DC and Marvel movies are going to, have, a renaissance again. Like it's going to still be driven by specific movies and stories and characters that, we have the chance to, connect to in like some sort of, like whether it be like through introductions from other characters that we're really into, like
Okay.
with with let me see, like with Doctor Strange, for example,
Yeah.
we were introduced to America Ferrera. I think that's her character's name. I could be wrong. Like I know her
Okay.
name's America, but like
Yeah.
yeah, like she
Something. Miss
yeah.
America. Yep. Yep.
So yes, like and then with yes, with Miss Marvel, we were able to like connect with her through her own little introduction story on Disney Plus that was really well received.
Yeah.
And we're also, getting into like the Young Avengers or like Thunderbolt story, which a
Right.
lot of people think that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to like, kind of lead into. So these are all, methods of, okay, yes, like use your major IP, which is like, like the Doctor Stranges and the Spider-Mans and the Deadpools and Wolverines, in order to get that audience who is really connected with those characters
Right.
to be able to get excited for the other characters, like the smaller, newer characters that they're introducing. So if they continue to do that, instead of just dropping like random movies of characters we've never heard of or that the general public has never heard of, then I think that that will like help recover,
Okay.
some of like the interest in comic book movies a little bit. But
Hmm.
like I said, it's not going to be like one big success and then rising tide raises all ships. Like no, it has to be,
That's a
something
good
that
way to
is
describe it.
it's yeah, it can't be that. It's not going to be like one movie that saves the box office. They're going to have to,
Like this will
like
save the universe.
yeah, no, it can't. Like, yeah, I don't think that that's sustainable.
Yeah.
But yes, like I said, like with Marvel specifically, if they continue to like integrate new characters with legacy characters, they might have a better shot at making more consistent money at the box office instead of just like
Okay.
spikes. And then with the same thing with DC, like I mean, they're working towards like a shared universe type of situation, and then there's also like the separate non DC studio stuff, like the Batman and Penguin and the Joker Harley Joker 2 movie that's coming out. So
Yeah.
those two are like separate, things. So like one is like very just like artistically driven, and it can take a long time for those movies to come out with Joker and the Batman. Whereas with the DC stuff,
Yeah.
DC Studios, they have a pipeline of stuff that they're going to roll out as far as like we're introducing Superman and we're also introducing, the Authority, and we're also introducing all these other, characters that are coming out in order to kind of like place them strategically in a way where we know that these characters are getting introduced with this major character Superman, so the public is going to know who they are if we reintroduce them again. And then
Okay.
Supergirl, we're gonna, get the following year too, and then Batman in the DC Studios universe as well.
Right.
So yeah, like I'm saying all that, like one side of like WB's DC stuff is intending on, rolling out different characters with a lot of like their bigger ones, and
Hmm.
then the other side is just working on these more long-term
Stories.
these long-term stories that aren't necessarily going to come out every year like the DC Studio stuff is.
Okay, so for me, I see the problem with DC. With DC, I think with their animated movies, and I enjoy the animated movies. DC has really been on point with majority of the animated movies. There's some that I don't really like, but there are majority of them I do like. I think the problem is they need to start releasing them in theaters. That some of this stuff, I'm like, y'all can make it to a 1 hour movie at least. I mean, 80 minutes is they be
Yeah.
pushing it with that 80 or 1 hour. Like come on.
Yeah, like that's what I have a gripe with, like not to deter too much from your topic, but with Star
Hmm.
Wars, for example, like I like the Acolyte, like
Yeah,
but it gets frustrating when they spend so much time of like their limited 30 35 38 minutes
yeah,
to just like it takes them so long to get to the point, so like that 38 minutes drags on, and I don't feel like a lot of times, I'm sad to say this, I don't feel like it's fulfilling as far as like that story that I just watched over the last like 2 episodes. I'm like, okay, get to the point.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I understand the criticism of the show there, but I like it enough where I want to see where it goes. but
Okay.
but yeah, like sorry to like just distract from that point.
Oh, okay. It's all good. Yeah, I think DC, the animated movies, they need to like put more out in theaters. I know they just showed like a teaser of like the new Watchmen animated movie. And I'm like, well, is this coming to theaters? Is this not gonna be a straight DVD release? Um, the other thing with DC, and I guess they're working on that now because with this new Superman movie, we're gonna see Mr. Terrific, Hawk Girl, Metamorpho,
Yes.
other characters. And I think after a while, we've seen Superman movies, right?
Hmm.
But we would love to see Superman movies with other DC heroes. You know what I'm saying? Not just Batman, you know what I'm saying? Other characters like Green Lantern and all that
Oh,
stuff,
I
Hawk
can't wait.
Girl.
Yeah.
And I think that's smart. It's a risk, but I think it'll be worth it because we haven't seen a live adapted Superman character with all these characters. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm hoping they can pull it off and it's not just, like a salad, a mixed salad of, so many characters where I
yeah,
can't really taste the difference in any of like the ingredients and then it comes out just being like,
yeah.
a big ball of just like bland, like, okay, yeah, like there's different textures, there's different, colors here, but I can't really differentiate anything from one another and I don't feel like I got anything from it. So
Yeah, DC says nerd culture said DC's issue is need to stop relying on the trendy and popular characters, Joker, and starting to introduce other characters and stuff like that. That's true, definitely true. I still want to see a Sad Shot movie. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, they
same. Yeah.
they've been talking about it. I know James Gunn is interested in that. It's unfortunate that Michael B. Jordan's no longer the executive producer for it. I don't know what happened, but I guess Michael B. Jordan said, I gotta go. I know DC Studios and Milestone still have their issues. I did see a documentary on Max, not HBO Max, talking about the issue between DC and also Milestone. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you guys check it out. It does give the backstory on Milestone and how it came to be the comic book company and also the issues that it has with the bigger studio, Warner Brothers. But I thought it was a really good documentary. But yeah, I still want to see a Static Shock movie. Heck, I mean, at some point they talked about doing a Nightwing movie. I'm like, what happened to that?
Yeah, so like with like the pre James Gunn era, there was like the
hmm
period of time with like I'm sorry for the audience who knows a little bit more context than I do, but the whole god JJ Abrams, there was like
Yeah,
a $500 million deal where he's just
yeah,
like, okay JJ, like, do your thing, I'm gonna let you cook. And
right,
like we didn't really get much from that little period of time where he was supposed to make all these movies. So
yeah. I know he's supposed to be doing the new Batman animated series that's coming out on Amazon Prime this month. So I guess they did keep him, but for one project. um, but yeah, I think DC that's their problem with Marvel. I think it's more so the directors. Sometimes they just don't have directors that really flesh out a good villain story. I think that's something that DC's been good at. They like even when I saw Shazam 2, I love that they introduced the villain at the beginning. So you understood the villain's logic, why they did the things they did. Even in Blue Beetle, I was like, man, this is what I want to see. You go to the movies. Yes, you want to see it for the hero, but a villain with a good story. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, like DC,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
so glad that you brought up like such a good highlight about Shazam 2 and Blue Beetle because I enjoyed those movies too. And a lot
yeah,
of folks are like, no, that's part of like, the bad era of like
yeah,
post Justice League movies. And I'm like, no, I actually like them. And then
yeah,
what was I about to say? So like with going into like Marvel movies where they don't have enough time or there's not enough priority on the villains.
yeah,
And you mentioned that like, oh yeah, it's like, director choice, may not be the strongest. I think
right.
like in addition to that,
hmm
Marvel pretty much like more or less has a story in mind before they let the director make decisions around how to shoot it or like how to
Right.
pace it out and edit it. Like more or less the story is there where like it's a rubric or like kind of like a guideline as far as like, okay, you need to establish this character, it needs to lead into this event, you need to have this Easter egg, like,
Yeah.
and then the director is like, oh, like they're kind of stuck and trying to fit what their vision was into like this format that they have
Yeah.
to abide to. And I think that's why we see a lot of directors like leave certain projects. Like Blade is a good example. Like Like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, we could like talk about that production all day long, and I'm just like,
right.
everyone's just like, it's not that hard to make a Blade movie. Why is it taking forever? But
Yeah,
it's yeah, it's just like creative differences and like content pipelines and like movie time pipelines, changing. And over the course of like the last 5 years, when Blade has since been announced, there's been so many changes in Marvel, in their
yeah,
infrastructure and stuff. So unfortunately, Blade has kind of been put on the back burner.
right.
And there's also just a lot of like creative differences in how to tell that story too, and so many story changes as well. So I feel bad because I really like Blade as a character.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, I was like, man, I've been wanting to see a new Blade movie. To be honest, yeah, I think Marvel with some of their villains, they are on point with. Some of their villains is like, no, we could have had a bit more of a story with it. I will say I did like that they did with Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home. They did a good job. He wasn't a failed actor. I did like that bit of a change where he was a failed Tony Stark employee. That was different. I like Vulture's story, which is tied into the Avengers movie. Certain ones, even Killmonger. I like what they did with Killmonger. You know what I'm saying? So, and even Neymar's story was interesting. I like what they did with Neymar for Black Panther 2. But there's some where it's just like, man, where's a good villain story? Just to understand their logic or their story behind why they did the things they did. Even in Black Panther 1 with T'Challa's father killing off, Killmonger's father, So I was like, man.
Yeah, there was just so much potential in like I wish they had like kept Killmonger alive, and I wish that they
Yeah.
had done some type of multiverse where he's still alive, and then they go back in time and maybe stop T'Challa's father from killing his uncle, and then maybe see what the future would be like if he stayed alive. Like that would be a fun one. Even if they
Yeah.
just delegate it to a what if episode, like that would be an interesting story.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, like you said, the Marvel tends to kill off the villains too quick. Shang-Chi, prime example. The other villain, one I think it's called. Is he? I want to say no, he's not Taskmaster. The one that ended up getting killed right off in the second half of the movie. I was like, why y'all kill this man off so quick? I was like, I was outdone. I was like, we could have saved him for a second movie.
Yeah.
um, yeah, certain villains they kill off too quick. Even in Ant-Man Quantumania, they killed off Hulk's villain. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I feel like they're just murking all these villains because they wanted to build up to Kang, and then like, that pipeline, changed obviously. So now like they're figuring out like, hey, who's going to be the new big bad? And so I think that also has something to do with it, where like all these other villains are just like stepping stones to like the next big villain.
Yeah, so I just hope that Marvel's kind of tone. Now I ain't saying you got to kill off every single villain for a movie, but at least keep some so we can just be like, okay, maybe that we'll see this villain in this one. Now, I will say with Spider-Man No Way Home, they did set it up that we will, and this is only rumor. They want William Dafoe to return as Green Goblin, and my man's from Doom, Timothy. They want him to play Harry Osborn. Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
probably see Green Goblin and maybe Hobgoblin and Spider-Man down the line. So I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea because we haven't had Green Goblin for a while. So I'm like, yeah. So yeah, the thing with villains, sometimes with Marvel and DC, especially DC, sometimes they over recycle villains too much. Sometimes I know they've done that with Batman for Joker. I will say that, even though I enjoy Batman, I'm like, I know he got a bigger rogue gallery. Can we
Yeah,
get some
yeah.
new villains?
Yes, definitely. And like to your point about like villains in Marvel possibly just like getting killed off a little too soon for whatever
Hmm.
reason. I do like, they gave Loki like a 10-year arc for the most part. And like
Yeah,
I'm not like, I know Marvel likes to, say, oh well, this person's, not gonna have their story continued. I'm just like, you're gonna bring back Loki. He makes like major money, like everyone loves him. Like we're definitely gonna
right.
see Loki again. But
Yeah,
that's my point, is that like they should consider doing more redemption arcs like they did with Spider-Man No Way Home with Green
yeah,
Goblin and and like just like all the
Yeah,
villains.
Shocker and Lizard and all them. Yeah,
Yeah, they got
yeah,
redemption stories, and yeah, Loki became not like a villain but an antagonist, and then he became sort of like this sort of ambivalent like protagonist, or just sort of like kind of like ambivalent as far as like where his moral compass is. But that I would still say that that's a redemption arc.
yeah,
So I would love to have seen Killmonger get a redemption arc. I don't like if Loki can be forgiven, then like I think Killmonger can be too. So I was just
yeah,
like, that's not fair.
yeah. I thought for sure when Chadwick passed, and I mean it was. I mean they had options. I mean they could have brought Killmonger back to be the new Black Panther. They could have.
I love his cameo though. Like when
Yeah,
Shuri was like, kind of in this like moral gray area, like, what should she do? Like,
right.
does she take on the mantle, or does she, like just
Hmm.
stay pacifist in this fight? Like, so
Yeah,
and then she also like it's Killmonger was just like, you need to you need to make a choice. Like, are you gonna like harness this, rage and anger over losing your family, or are you going to find another cause? Like, he was
right,
basically like, you need to step up and make a decision. Basically, it
right.
doesn't matter what it is, but
Yeah,
yeah, you have this option or that option, like you need to choose. And I was just like, I love that, because it was like him just like not as an antagonist, not as like a protagonist. He was just there, just like as like this pillar of, or as this like sort of like guiding light.
yeah. He
And
was a spirit guy, pretty much.
I
Yeah,
loved that. I was just like, no, I want more of this, please don't go
yeah.
away.
Yeah, so yeah, I like how they used Killmonger into. I'm not gonna lie, I was like,
Yeah,
instead of bringing him back, they kind of gave him like being Shuri's spirit guy in the interstellar plane type of thing. I was like, okay, I
yeah.
can get with that.
My theater like was
Hmm.
like cheering when we saw Killmonger. We're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Michael B. Jordan posting about him being in Black Panther 2. He couldn't say what role he would play, but I was excited. I was like, okay, well, at least we know what he was back for, because they're like, yeah, he's like, I'm back, but I can't say too much. I'm like, wonder why. Yeah, so that's it.
No, this has been a fun conversation, and
Yeah,
I'm really grateful that you took the time to invite me. And I apologize for all my scheduling issues, but I'm glad that we got to, collaborate
yes.
and have this awesome discussion.
Right. No, I appreciate you being a part of it. Yeah, thanks for wanting to be a part of the content creator. See, yeah, I know sometimes it be like that. Rescheduling, that's, hey, it happens sometimes. I'm glad we were able to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, if you have any other questions, or folks in the chat want to ask questions, I could stick around for a little bit longer if y'all want
Okay.
to, engage and like have anything else to contribute.
Hell yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't mind doing that either too. So
But yeah, if like if you have any like other questions that you wanted to get into, if we're still waiting on the chat, I can answer those too if you want.
oh, okay. So hey, that's a good one. Let me see. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, so how do you feel about streaming becoming like cable? Like, you know how they got the Apple has got something going on with they having their own like three streaming services. I know Disney has Disney, Hulu, ESPN. Is that like the new version of cable? Do you think that's kind of gonna not necessarily replace cable, but that's the new way they're marketing it towards, like, to some degree?
I think so, because these networks make more money by
Yeah,
just, hosting their own content on on their own platforms. And I think we're also going to see more mergers. So
yeah,
that's one thing we didn't get to talk about, which I'm glad I remembered, the Skydance and Paramount
yeah.
merger. So that's actually a good segue to what you were what you just asked. So
Okay.
that's a good example where I'm like, okay, yeah, Paramount is merging with Skydance, and then Skydance has its own like, access
Yeah,
to the IPs that Paramount owns, like Star Trek and Nickelodeon, all these other things. And Skydance is like, they make, branded content, like whether it be like merch or like video games.
yeah. Video games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, they're like this content powerhouse where they like are they're very in tune with what fandoms really want out of their out of these well-known IPs. So I think that they're going to do a great job, especially like with Star Trek. I think that that's an
Okay.
untapped IP that Skydance will definitely make more like well known, because it's kind of been stuck on Paramount Plus. Like fans would just have to go there to enjoy the content, and it
Right.
wasn't really that much, to enjoy. It was just sort of like you just sort of get like one thing here, one animated series, one series like with Picard. You also get like additional like on like I forget the name of the Star Trek series that they made recently, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you talking
Well,
about Picard, or are
there's
you talking about the other one?
Yeah, I'm talking about the other one. Whereas,
Okay.
yeah. So there was a animated series, Picard, and then there was another new Enterprise crew show.
Yeah.
So that's not really that much. And I'm like, yeah, there's a whole like universe of stuff that you can explore. So I think that's
Yeah.
what they're gonna do at Skydance. At least I hope so. And
Yeah.
they will have more money and resources, hopefully, to be able to do that.
Yeah, because I think with Skydance, they're known for doing the Mission Impossibles too. So we may, in fact, see maybe like spin-off Mission Impossibles. I know they said the last time's cruise, Mission Impossible, the two-part one that they got, the next part is going to introduce the Peggy Carter actress. She's going to be the new main character for the franchise. So then it's going to spin off with her. I think it's smart. Skydance, like you said, is known for merch. Video games got that new Black Panther and Captain America, like back in the 1920s. Video game coming out. So at the end of the day, Paramount does have a lot of stuff they can do, like maybe more Avatar games, maybe Rugrats, Fairly Odd Parents. So that's where it's at. Then the deal is $1 billion. That's a pretty big amount of money.
Yeah, and I think what is going to really help them is once they start releasing movies, that will
Hmm.
really help, because a lot of the Paramount stuff, like, it was all like a lot of it was exclusive to streaming, and
Right,
and it would often feel like, okay, what money are you generating outside of kind of like a spike in subscribers, and maybe
right.
are not. Maybe they may not, be staying for the long term, and then like the subscription fee was also kind of small. I think it was like $6.99 for like a
Wow,
for
six
like
ninety nine.
for like ad supported tier. So yeah, like Paramount Plus, like in my mind, I was just like, how are you generating money? Like, because you're marketing yourself as this like low end
Yeah.
platform that is like also kind of tacked on to utility costs, like for like AT&T, for example, like, oh, get a free like subscription to Peacock and Paramount Plus, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think with that said, I like that streaming services are like not necessarily merging, because I do feel like it's costing the average consumer a lot more
Oh yeah. Oh
um,
yeah.
to have to pick and choose basically like what streaming platforms to subscribe to. But then when it becomes like, oh yeah, like these three like services, like with Disney Plus, for example, ESPN and Hulu
Hulu.
and
Yeah.
Disney Plus all bundled together. If you want it like no ads, then I think it's like what, like how much am I paying? Like maybe like $15-17 or something like that. But then I'm also
Okay.
paying for Netflix, and then I'm also paying for Paramount Plus, and gosh, what else am I paying for? um
Crunchyroll for me.
oh yeah,
Crunchyroll.
HBO Max. Oh wait, no, HBO Max and Peacock I think I get through my Comcast and AT&T
Okay.
subscription, but I'm
Yeah.
indirectly paying for that because I'm paying for those utilities.
Yeah. Through the
So
through the cable.
so all
Yeah.
these bills add up, so
Right.
like, I can't imagine if someone like, didn't have their HBO Max or Peacock or Paramount Plus tied to their phone bill, like if they had to pay out of pocket for that, they're like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm unsubscribing from this service for the month. I know some people unsubscribe to Disney Plus unless there's like a new Marvel TV show or a new Star Wars
Yeah,
show.
I had to for a minute because I was like, man, wasn't anything really worth watching. I know they have the new anime show that came out, Code Geass. They did bring that back. Then there's another show. I know I'll probably check out Acolytes when I get a chance. And then there's another show. But yeah, I did get rid of that. I do have Netflix. I have Hulu. I have Crunchyroll. I do have Peacock. I haven't used it very often.
It's like, yeah. Oh, so I think I was mistaken. So like with
Hmm.
Peacock, that's where I think that that's where all the Star Trek stuff is at. So
Okay.
I apologize for
Oh, okay.
putting the Paramount stuff there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like there's so many streaming services. I'm like, where is everything?
Right. And then the thing is with streaming services, they tend to swap out content. I've been noticing that too. It's like, hey, we got these movies on here, and then you go to another streaming platform, like, they was just on this one.
Yes, yeah, definitely. But I do like the services like Freevee, Tubi,
Yeah.
uh yeah, like those ones they get really good content as well, and some lower
Yeah.
budget movies that you wouldn't necessarily have heard about otherwise. So I'm a big fan of those for sure.
Yeah, the free ones. Yeah, I think them doing this 3-pack for like streaming services, apparently they want it to be a stable price, which we'll see because you know how they do.
Yeah.
um but I think it's good because, like, if for instance, if you like all three streaming services, then you may as well get all three. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's one that you want and you're like, oh, I want these other two. um I think it's become more of a common thing now. I think that's the thing now. I say, okay, well, even with Disney Plus, they're even I think they're doing something. I want to say there's somebody, oh, Warner Brothers, they got something coming too, both of them. So I'm like, so it seems like if you don't want Disney Plus, eventually you'll have it on Warner Brothers and maybe ESPN. I could be wrong. But I said, I think that's cool that you have the different packs of like streaming services to choose from. I hope to see that more with anime. I mean, yeah, Hulu has anime on it. Crunchyroll does. I would like to see Hulu and Crunchyroll, and if there's another one that does anime, like have a whole anime one, that'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be really cool if I think that there's two anime platforms, right? Or is it
Yeah,
just like Crunchyroll and
I think
Hulu?
VVR is that the other one.
I maybe like
Okay,
I'm drawing a blank right now, but
okay.
yes, like with Crunchyroll, I don't know
Hmm.
what their costs are to operate because they mostly like have have episodes served every week as they release from Japan. So I'm
Right,
like, you're not really producing content. You're just, making it available for, the like Western audiences. So I'm
right.
wondering like if their overhead is like cheap enough where like they don't necessarily have to be bought because like they're profitable like on their own. So I don't know if that's like how it works or if they're willing to sell, but
Well, I
yeah.
know. I know AT&T used to own them. Sony bought them like a couple years ago. Yeah, AT&T. The surprising thing about it is because I have AT&T, you
Me
would think AT&T would have had a pack. I mean, AT&T had Warner Brothers at some point and Crunchyroll. Why didn't you guys offer that with your cable service? I never understood. I was like, this is weird.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's because like the demographic for AT&T owners, maybe it's like,
Yeah,
35 to 50 and there's probably an assumption there like the demographics probably not watching anime. So
yeah. But you would think that they would offer it to like the younger people that are that's invested in the carrier. But yeah, and I was surprised they didn't do that more often with Warner Brothers. I never understood. I was like, you guys owned at that time Crunchyroll, AT&T, and then at some point they own Warner Brothers. I'm like, y'all are not really doing much with either one.
yeah, like I would say like T-Mobile is like a really like younger, aimed platform as well. It's really flexible for folks who like don't want to contract either. So it
Right.
would be nice if they offer like, those streaming platform services like Crunchyroll and like Disney Plus or other ones that are kind of geared
Yeah.
to younger or like younger to mid to, moderately older audiences. So yeah, to
Not,
your point, I think that that would be a good move, but yeah,
yeah.
that's yeah.
Now I will say they did offer Max. That's one thing I can say. They did offer Max. You can get Max with AT&T, but I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I was just thinking like y'all could have did something with Crunchyroll. That,
Yeah. No, that would've been nice.
yeah, that'd have been dope. But yeah, I think I'm okay with them doing this whole 3-pack service thing. Hopefully it works out. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I mean, for me, I do use Disney Plus and Hulu. I'm not much of an ESPN person, but I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that got all three. Um, I just hope they don't go crazy with the prices.
Yeah, no, it's getting tough to,
Yeah,
justify having a Netflix subscription with a Disney Plus and HBO Max and um like Peacock and Paramount Plus, like it
right.
and Crunchyroll. So yeah, some decisions have to be made. And I know like a lot of my friends like end one subscription here and then like, choose to go to another subscription and then maybe resubscribe for whatever reason. So yeah, it's unfortunate because that's not good for the streaming platforms because your subscribers fluctuate. So
Yeah,
yeah, like I think that's why a lot of folks or a lot of platforms like streaming platforms are considering merging so that way you keep that subscriber base and then like you grow because like one subscriber base um
yeah,
from like Crunchyroll, for example, it gets, bought up, it gets eaten up by AT&T, who also, is offering a bundle with like HBO Max or something like that. So now like
yeah,
someone doesn't have to make a decision like about which one to choose or whatever. Now it becomes like, bundled in what they're paying for. So maybe that's like a good thing, but it still gets expensive. So it's a
yeah.
hit or miss.
Yeah, it's got its pros and cons for sure. I'm thinking like, man, that yeah, but like you said, I think the reason Sony bought Crunchyroll, I think because they're starting to do pump out more anime, so I think that's kind of the real reason why they bought it from AT&T. AT&T didn't really do much with it, so it's like, well, we got ideas, we got people that can animate stuff, and here we go, So yeah, props to Sony doing that. That's something that I thought was really interesting. I got something too. I just thought about it. I did talk about this before, but I guess I can hear your take on it. How did you feel about Madam Web? Like originally, Marvel Studios wanted to do something with Madam Web, not an actual movie, but just introducing her into like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Do you think that would have been a good idea versus a standalone solo movie?
I think so. And I actually didn't watch Madam Web yet. I know it's on
Okay.
Netflix, so that's on my
Yeah, it's on
watch
Netflix.
list.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, that said, I think it would have been smarter to introduce Madam Web in a Spider-Man movie because, like, going back to what I said about have your bigger characters introduce the smaller ones in order for
Yeah.
the audiences to actually connect with them, and then we're more likely to go to the movies or watch their TV shows. So I think that would have been a better move to do.
Yeah, I could definitely. I seen the Madam Web movie. I don't know. I just was like, I don't know what Sony is doing. Like, I get it. They want to do these villain anti-hero movies. Um, I felt like Sony should have listened to Marvel. Marvel to me had a better idea. Like, introduce her in Spider-Man, Tom Holland movies that they originally had planned on doing. I guess Sony said no, we're not doing that. We gonna give her a standalone movie. And it just didn't work out because she was, like you said, she was a smaller character, just kind of like the Morpheus of Spider-Man, pretty much. And it didn't really work out because a lot of people don't know who she is if they didn't watch the 90s cartoon or maybe even read maybe comics with her in it. So it's like, y'all sure y'all wanted to put her out? I think with Marvel Studios direction was definitely a better idea because I was like, solo Madam Web. And see what threw me off was when I seen the trailer. I'm like, I'm not used to her being this young. I was,
I know when
I
I
was,
think Madam, I'm just like, yeah, older, older
yeah,
woman possibly.
that's what you think. And then when I saw that, I was like, no, this can't be. Yeah,
You
I
know
think
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the problem with Sony is they still got that ego thing going on, even though they own the entire Spider-Man universe, which is totally fine. But the problem is, if y'all would have listened to Marvel, we could have introduced her into the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies without having to do a solo movie. I think it would have been so much better to see her that way.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is like revenue share. And
Yeah,
Sony would lose the license to Spider-Man if they don't continue to output content under that IP. So it's like yeah, like probably would be better off partnering with one another better. But because Marvel is Marvel, they would expect, an equal or, higher payout, because that is, going to justify them spending time, in the production, and giving insight and, offering resources and stuff like that. And then Sony's just like, no, let's do it ourselves. And, and we're still going to keep, the rights. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's to their detriment, but I think they're also holding out on Marvel, offering like billions of dollars in order to buy back Spider-Man, which, like, I don't know if Marvel has like a plan to do that, because like I don't know how valuable Spider-Man is to their plans, but yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to. Sony is just like holding Spider-Man hostage until Marvel wants to pay them like $10 billion or something like that.
Yeah, they have a complicated relationship. And like you said, with Sony, it's like, well, we want to build our own Spider-Man universe. I think that was the reason why they introduced Madam Web, was mainly because they said, hey, we decided to do another Spider-Man movie. We want to introduce Madam Web, new Peter Parker. And I'm like, really? So y'all just said, hey, we not going to give y'all Madam Web, but guess what? We going to get a new Spider-Man movie. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, are you excited for the Venom Last Dance movie?
You know what? I like the Venom movies, but I could have did without. I'd rather have seen him fleshed out in a Spider-Man movie versus like a villain. Don't get me wrong, villain is a popular Spider-Man villain, no denying it. But I'd rather have seen him like how they did with Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, him introduced in like maybe Spider-Man 5 or 6. I don't even know if that's still happening. But I think it's good that it's working out for Sony with Venom, but this Craven the Hunter that they got coming out, that looks like it's not really going to be good. And then they have some other movies coming out. I'm more excited about this Miles Morales movie, to be honest. Like, that's the live adaptation. That's what I'm waiting on.
I'm waiting on that too. Like, fingers crossed. And I'm wondering how much it's going to, if it will even, have any sort of like Marvel Studios involvement, because I would like to see live action Miles Morales in like Marvel Studios, produced movies and stuff like that. But like I said, Sony is like making $1 billion off of the Spider-Verse movies on their own. So I think that's why they're able to say like, yeah, let's keep the Spider-Man IP, because like we're making enough money off of the Spider-Verse stuff to justify all these lower end all these lower end attempts.
Yeah, I think it's smart though what Sony's done with Miles Morales versus just putting them out there. They built them up with the animated movies. We're gonna have 4 of those, by the way, and then we're gonna get to live adaptation. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really, like you said, I hope that maybe Marvel is able to buy Miles Morales from Sony. Unless they do the Marvel Association thing, I'm fine with that too. But I guess only time will tell if they decide to share the character. They shared Kingpin before, so
true. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's not like they can't.
Totally.
Yeah, so yeah, I think they should have went with Madam Web being in another what's the name, a Spider-Man movie versus standalone. Because I was like, y'all mean to tell me y'all go? But like you said, it was like false advertising. I'm thinking she gonna be an older lady, you know what I'm saying, with the glasses, and I was just like, nah.
It wasn't really clear that it was a Spider-Man adjacent movie either, to be honest. Like there were the costumes, but like in the movie, I haven't seen it yet, but I hear that they're not even really in the costumes like a whole lot.
No.
False advertising, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I was like, man, it's crazy. I do have another question. I'm trying to figure out what this one's going to be. How do you feel about them bringing back T'Challa for Avengers 6? Is that surprising that they decided to recast T'Challa, even though they tried to retire him out the MCU?
Wait, whoa! Where are you getting this news from? I need to, because I'm so behind. Like Marvel's, wait, Avengers 6. Like, can we get?
Yeah, so Marvel Studios apparently wants to bring back Black Panther, not Shuri, but T'Challa, but just as a variant. I guess like since we're in the multiverse phase, and they decided to say, hey, we're gonna recast T'Challa and Sis instead of maybe bringing Shuri aboard with the Avengers, because maybe they're trying to flesh her character out with T'Challa's son for Black Panther 3 because he is supposed to be the next Black Panther in the third movie. So isn't that interesting?
So, are you alluding to his son, T'Challa coming back, or you mean like his father, T'Challa Senior coming back?
So T'Challa, they're gonna recast him finally, even though they're setting up Black Panther 3 to kind of be where T'Challa's son's the next Black Panther. But in Avengers 6, he'll be back, not the son, but T'Challa himself. Yeah,
So, not that I'm not, excited about that because I
yeah,
do think that they should recast him, but I think that, gosh, like it's so far away. I'm just like, you could do something like to build up to that. Just like don't drop him in there. Like, but I don't know, like the fact that it's happening at all, like I'm stoked on. So I definitely want to, stay tuned to see more stuff. But
yeah,
since it's so far away and we've seen Marvel just, kind of change course like so often because they've had like, these quote unquote failures and then, kind of like having to rely on higher I guess like popularity characters to try and like re-engage
yeah,
interest. Like there's so much uncertainty that I'm hoping that that's like recasting T'Challa is still on like on the horizon. So
yeah.
that's what I'm a little concerned, but I'm hopeful that that happens one day.
Yeah, I think Marvel realized that Shuri, she's a good the actress did what she could with the role, right? I don't think they were happy with the success with it. It was like, hey, Black Panther 1 was highly successful. 2 was, but it didn't live up to the standard of Marvel Studios. And I guess they said, you know what? Let's bring back T'Challa. I was like, what? And
That's
I
what we
mean,
want.
yeah, and I mean, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But then when Kevin Feige and the other guy that mentioned it that they're gonna retire T'Challa, it felt like a sports team. Like
That's not
retiring?
okay. Yeah, no, that's not okay. It's like, I don't wanna get too deep into, like, the
Yeah.
social, importance of
Okay.
T'Challa. Like, I'm sure, like, it goes without saying, like, he is, one of, like, the first, like, truly elevated and significant, Black comic book characters
Right.
that, has, kind of, stayed relevant and stayed like, in the, consciousness of comic book readers and audiences and stuff.
Right. Okay.
And to just retire him in live action, it would be a disservice to
Yeah.
just not just that character, but also to audiences that like have connected with him because of like his origin story, the presentation of his character too, and just like him just being such a positive and such a empowered like some like representation of like Black excellence. I don't know any other way to say
Yeah.
it. Like I
Yeah.
didn't want to get
That's
too social on it, but like yes,
okay.
he's a socially significant character, and to just table him it's very frustrating for me to hear
Yeah.
personally, and I'm sure it's frustrating for other folks too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm open to it. I really hope that they do a good job reintroducing them in Avengers 6. I just hope it's a decent actor. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. Like, I mean, I know it's not gonna be Chadwick, but if they can get someone else to play the role as good as the previous actor, I'm all for it. I mean, I know some people talked about Denzel's son playing him.
Oh, John David Washington,
Yeah,
yeah.
John David Washington. Yeah, he's a good choice. I was like, that's a good one. I've heard other black actors. I know the guy from Aquaman that played Black Manta. What is his name? Abdul.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yes. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
he's supposed to still be Wonder Man.
Okay.
Like, I have
Okay.
not heard any news about that. So if
Yeah, me either.
you're more plugged in than me. So like, if you haven't heard anything, I'm sure like there's no news.
Well, it was a pandemic show. Apparently, they were filming that show. Well, not pandemic show, writer strike show. Excuse me, writer strike show. So maybe that's why.
No, they need to fix that, and they need to fix Blade.
Yeah.
There's a lot of and they better recast T'Challa. Like, there's just so many characters, and I'm just like, why are you specifically failing? Like these characters that represent such positive representation. Like, why?
Yeah. So I got one last one for you. How do you feel about Pixar? With all the success of Inside Out 2, like that is impressive because we as people that like Pixar, maybe animated films, Pixar's been going through some stuff when it comes to success. They've lost quite a bit of the workforce. And I was like, man, for the success of this movie to be their fastest selling movie is impressive to me. With them not having it as a big workforce.
Uh, yeah, I think that Inside Out is definitely like, a big win for them. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm sure we're going to see more Inside Out movies as well. Like, it probably will be like the new Toy Story. Like, we're going to see Inside Out, three, like,
Right.
whatever. And I think what I am discouraged about is like outside of Inside Out, they
Yeah.
were, really taking risks as far as like original stories, like with Soul.
Right.
Soul came out, like that was another pandemic release on streaming, and gosh, I'm blanking on other ones too, but I'm sure other folks in the chat know what I'm talking about. There was like one movie per year or so
Right.
that they were releasing on streaming. So them getting back into theatrical, I think Turning Red was a theatrical Pixar movie, but
Okay.
it may or may not have like done as well as they would have hoped, and
Right.
maybe that led to all the layoffs and stuff. So
Okay.
I think my point is that they were at a period of time like being more risky as far as like giving original stories a chance to shine, but because Inside Out 2 made so much money, that's going to be a priority now.
Okay.
So we might just see Toy Story and Inside Out stuff like for the next foreseeable future, however many
Right.
years. And yeah, that's the only thing that I'm discouraged about is like, no, yeah, they were kind of going in a different direction as far as like stories that they're willing to highlight. And
Yeah.
um yeah, like because those weren't really that profitable or as iconic, I guess, quote unquote, as like Inside Out. Yeah, they're just going to table those IPs or have them just be standalone stories. So that's the only thing, and I'm not seeing any potential for future standalone stories as well, just because of the lack of success for the other ones, and because Inside Out is so successful, I imagine that they will prioritize that.
Yeah, they've confirmed that they've already in the worst for Inside Out 3. That I did hear about that. I was like, man, I said Pixar. I was like, look, once they reach that billion, I said, oh, we're getting the third one. I did hear about that. They also talked about a Monsters Inc. 3, an Incredibles reboot, which I think they should do a 3 instead of a reboot. A Jack Jack spinoff
Oh,
series, and even Zootopia 2, and then there's some other Pixar movies. I think Pixar definitely, like you said, they do take risks with stories. I think the one movie that amazed me that it didn't do well, even though it was a bit of a romance, was Elemental. I thought Elemental was a really well thought of
oh,
movie.
yeah.
I think people weren't interested in the angle of the elements kind of being like these different races. Maybe that's what it was. Um, and maybe people just weren't like reeled into it. But when it went on streaming services, it did really well. I mean, it did eventually succeed. Like I want to say, like either August or either late July, before it went on streaming services. But I was like, man, that's crazy. Like I thought it was a really good movie. It was a different type of storytelling. But yeah, I want to see a Soul 2, Zootopia 2, maybe a Monsters Inc. 3. It's been a minute. There
Those are
even
the
talks.
two most likely that I think would happen. Zootopia 2 and Monsters Inc. 3. I think
Mhm.
like because 2 came out like what 10 years ago,
Yeah,
like,
maybe
and it
senior. Yeah,
yeah, like the Monsters University, right? So that
yeah,
was a prequel. So
yeah. It
like
was a
if
prequel, right?
yeah, so like is it really going to be Monsters Inc. 3 or is it going to be Monsters Inc. 2? Cuz like I'm gonna, yeah.
That's a
And
good question.
and then what was my other question? So like the
Mhm.
gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, continue. I'll probably remember later.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's dope that they want to do sequels, spin-offs. either reboots, but I'm like Finding Nemo, like the first one was good,
Oh, I
you
did like
know.
Finding Dory though. I thought that was like,
Okay,
surprisingly pretty good, but yeah,
yeah,
it's just like where do you go from here? Like with I would love to see something with Bugs Life. I feel like they dropped the ball so much and
yeah.
I think that's my favorite Pixar movie, honestly.
Oh
Like
wow, yeah, that's one
if
of my favorites too. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Buzz Life. Yeah,
yeah, I wish that they would, revisit it, but yeah, like to your point, I think you called out a lot of like the major ones that they're probably going to focus on.
yeah. So yeah, hopefully we get a Soul too. I would like to see a Soul too. I mean, they talked about bringing it back with Jamie Foxx. I know they said that he may not be the main character, the guy that he was playing in the movie. It may in fact be the other soul that was with his character. And I was like, man, that would be a good idea. Like just briefly have him in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Zootopia too. They've been talking about that for the longest. I'm like, man, I remember hearing that in college. Like, yeah, we getting a Zootopia too. It's just like,
Oh wow,
where
that's
is
yeah.
it at? I was like, I ain't seen it. But I would like to see a Jack Jack spinoff from The Incredibles, like his
That
like
makes sense.
yeah, that
Like,
would be like to see like him as maybe not just a kid anymore, but like a teenager and him learning how to use all his multiple powers and maybe, just showing the family and how they deal with him on a daily basis with all these different powers. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea, Pixar. That's something that I would have never expected them to say that. I would think they would set him up for three, where he have all these powers, and maybe he either becomes the villain of the story or either this anti-hero. And I was like, man,
that's the word I was struggling to remember is the anti-hero. Like
okay,
it's not antagonist, it's not a protagonist, it's an anti-hero, like in the
yeah,
middle. Like how I think Deadpool and Loki are good examples of anti-heroes.
yeah, they are definitely are. Yeah, true. Yeah, so I think it's good that Pixar is doing really good. Hopefully they don't just like how you said, where they just stick to Inside Out 3, what I'm saying, Inside Out 4 or 5. Um, but then again, it could work because I mean, sometimes the fourth and third, it depends. Sometimes the fourth movie's better. I know with Toy Story, I wasn't the biggest fan of 3. I enjoyed 3 though. But I felt like 4 was a better movie than the third one. Um, but then we got Toy Story 5 coming out.
I checked out after 3. I didn't even see the Buzz Lightyear movie. Like that was
It was
another like streaming movie, right? Or no,
yeah, it was actually good. I thought it was good. I think the villain setup was a bit weird for the movie, but then you realize like maybe this is the direction they were going with. I think Chris Evans did a good job voicing Buzz Lightyear. You couldn't really tell that it wasn't Tim Allen. Like it's weird. It's just like with Kevin Conroy, the guy that replaced him as Batman for the voice after the guy Jennison that plays on The Boys. He did a really
oh
good job. You couldn't
yeah.
tell the difference. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, he's my fan pick for potential Batman in the DC Studio stuff with the James Gunn stuff.
Yeah,
He's
you
kind
talking
of
about the Batman Brave and Bold movie?
right, but like a
Okay.
lot of people are like, yeah, he's a good pick, but probably not going to happen. And a lot of folks want to see like uh Pattinson,
Okay.
Robert Pattinson, incorporated into the DC studio stuff. But other people are like, no, keep them separate. So
Yeah, it'll probably be separate because his is the what they call the Elseworlds. That's what they call that. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, it did amaze me that he did a good job as Buzz Lightyear. Even the director Tahiki was in the movie. He actually voiced the character. Yeah, the casting for Buzz Lightyear for the voice I think was really good. But it just failed to deliver. I don't think people were really invested in seeing a standalone Toy Story movie with just Buzz Lightyear and the people that's in his universe. Same thing if they did like a Woody, what I'm saying, Woody movie.
Okay, but here's the thing. I like Woody's Roundup as an idea. Like, the
Okay.
old school, like, cowboy show. I
Hmm.
think that there's something more interesting there. And
Okay.
but yeah, like to your point, it would be a hard sell maybe because there's
Yeah.
like it doesn't have a whole lot of depth. So
Right.
like yeah.
So yeah, I'm
Hey.
hopping on. Okay. See you, Cajun. Yeah, so like you say, yeah, definitely be a hard sell. maybe they could do it like as a TV series, maybe like a Woody's TV series, like they, you know,
Like a short series, like if it's like
yeah,
6
like a short
episodes long.
series,
Yeah,
yeah, like
then
a mini series, yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could work. I mean, maybe that's what they should have did with Buzz Lightyear. It's like, well, the movie didn't really sell. I did enjoy it, but it was like maybe they should have just turned it into a TV series.
What's interesting or like kind of like like perplexing for me is that I think the Buzz Lightyear animated series, it's not even on Disney Plus. I
No,
haven't
it's
checked,
not.
but it's
It's
just
not.
like why?
Yeah, that is weird. Is it because Channel 50 owns it? Could that be why?
I don't know because it was like on Disney Tunes or Toon Disney.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was on
so
Toon Disney and it was on Channel 50 at some point too.
I have no idea what's going on. Maybe like I'm assuming maybe they thought that that story would conflict with what they were trying to do with
Yeah,
the Buzz Lightyear movie, but
that
it
could be.
because Buzz Lightyear is a prequel, and then the animated series, it's while he's Buzz Lightyear, so it
Buzz
does like
Lightyear.
it doesn't have to be one or the other, so.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Channel 50 still owns the rights to it. That could be
Yeah.
why. Because I did, you know what? It's funny that you brought that up. Because I remember when I went on Disney Plus when I first got it, like, I'm pretty sure the Buzz Lightyear series gonna be on there. And I was like, wait a
Right?
minute, where is it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. I never understood why that's not on there. I was like, what are you guys hiding it or what?
I hope that they bring back gargoyles.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that would be
yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
that'd be
sure.
dope if they bring that back. I mean, there are some resurgences in shows, so probably so. Yeah. I mean, they can even do like a new story. I know, not to be off topic. I know they at some point they were talking about doing a new spy movie
Yes.
with Jamie Foxx. I mean, it's still, from what I've heard, it's still in the works, but just
That's what I'm
know,
That's what I'm hoping is that like Todd McFarlane will pop up at San Diego Comic-Con and maybe we'll see some news or hear something.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I would love to have that happen. So I'm gonna, keep my ear to the ground. I know that the schedule has been announced, so but there's still probably more stuff to be announced. But yeah, that's what
right.
I'm hopeful for is like, a Spawn update.
Yeah. I was like, man, I would love to see that. I was like, first one was different for the time being, but maybe just the climate of superhero movies just wasn't as good as it should have been. So it was like, well, wasn't well received, but so be it.
I did like Michael J. White's portrayal of Spawn, and I was actually a little disappointed they didn't decide to bring him back because I thought that the story for Spawn was continuing on from like he's not,
Right,
it's not an origin story. It's like continuing his his story from there. But I know that
right.
it's like changed a bit. Like the original story from what I heard was that Spawn's going to be a spirit that
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no, I'm not okay with that. Go back to the writing room. So yeah, I'm just hoping for the best. So
Yeah. So I was like, man, yeah, Spine would be good. And even trying to figure out there's another movie. So how do you feel about the Western? Are you into gun foods like the John Wicks and stuff or
I do like John Wick, but I'll be honest, I'm a little like not well versed in that genre. I
okay,
do like it. I do like it, but
okay,
I can't have a discussion around it,
okay,
unfortunately.
okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I know they're doing a spinoff with Kane's character, so I do look forward to that because I'm like, well, John, they are doing the John Wick 5. I did hear about that, but it's like, man, Kane's story's interesting. I like that he's a blind character and he's kind of a little bit different from John. Honestly, I thought they were gonna replace his character, like in remembrance of like John Wick, if he would have died in the fourth movie, but they didn't. I thought they were gonna do like James Bond, where it's like, hey, this is the new John Wick. But I guess they said no. But I do look forward to the ballerina, the spinoff, the other spinoff to John Wick with Anna. What is her? I can't think of her last name, but she's a good actress. She's a good action actress.
Yeah, a lot of
Mhm.
folks are looking forward to that one too. Yeah, I like her performance in different roles too.
Yeah, she played in The Gray Man with Chris Evans and she played in some other action stuff. I'm like, she's she's got the actress appeal.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So any new movies that you're interested in checking out this year or anything?
Well, Deadpool and Wolverine,
Okay.
and let me see what else. That's the only major one. Oh, obviously, like Joker 2. That's
Okay.
on my list too.
Okay.
Um, Off the top of my head, I know I'm blanking. So yeah, I'm just I lost my train of thought. Sorry,
I would.
it's been a long day.
So Deadpool and Wolverine, the Transformers animated movie that's coming out, which is a prequel to the original story. There's another movie that's a gun fu like John Wick. It's the same producers that David Bautista's playing. I can't think of the name of it, but the girl from Rebel Moon is playing in that too, and Terry Crews is in that too, by the way. And there's another movie. I can't think of the name of it. I seen it in theaters. It's like I guess you could say it's like a thriller or something like that. That's coming out where this guy, with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. What's the name? Oh man.
Oh, I have no idea. Well, you just reminded me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Rebel Moon 2 and then the uncut version of
Okay.
Rebel Moon 1. So I'm looking forward to those dropping on Netflix soon.
Okay. Yeah, I can't think of the name of the one with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, but it's like they're both killers and pretty much they're not supposed to be in the same spot. I don't know, like they're working for like this criminal underworld, and pretty much he's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job.
They work really well together, so that does sound like it's going to be an interesting story.
Yeah, so I said that looked pretty promising. And there's another movie. I'm trying to figure out what the other movie is. Well, I guess I could say Watchmen. I think that comes out this year in August.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah, the
series,
new
the
one.
animated series.
No, not the series. The new movie, the take from the Zack Snyder one. It's supposed to be a bit different though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that looked pretty promising. I was like, okay, because it seems like they kind of took a bit of his story, but then they added their own twist with it. So I was like, this could work. I mean, I like the Watchmen live adaptation movie. I watched that probably 10 or 12 times. So
Yeah.
I'm like, this should be good. I like what they did with Warshaw in this animated movie. It seems like I want to say he's more of a main character in this animated movie from what I saw in the trailer, but I'm not really for sure.
No, it's going to be interesting. I actually bought the graphic novel so that way I can be like, well versed in the source material because I've seen
Okay.
the movie, but yeah, I know it's a little bit different from the graphic novel, so that's on my homework list to read that before Comic-Con, and then I have Kingdom Come that I'm going to read, and what is The
Rise
Killing
of the
Joke.
Infinite Earths.
Oh, I need to read that. Yeah, thanks for adding
Okay.
that to my list. But yeah, I got the Killing Joke as well. So
Okay. Yeah, Killing Joke. I don't own that one, but I did read it. That was actually pretty good. I thought it was accurate, close to the actual animated movie. I thought that was really well thought of.
yeah,
Yeah. hmm Yeah, but does anybody else have any questions or
I
anything?
love the audience showing up. It's been a
Yeah.
great show. Thank you again for inviting me on.
Oh,
Big
you're
big
welcome. Yeah.
big fan.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have to do this again. This was pretty fun.
Oh no, definitely. And yeah, I will be in touch with you because I do have some more questions I wanted to ask. But yeah, this has been a great show for sure.
All right. Well, this is it, guys. This is the Content Creator C, guys. Thanks everybody that tuned in. Let's see who we got here. We got Goddess with the Pen, the Real Nerdy Review, Upper Nimbus, Thousand Star, Subbery. Yeah, I just want to Synthesizer Zero. And I think, and Nerd Costa Nostra. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. This is it, guys. Thanks again, Red, for being a guest. And hey, I learned some things I didn't know about you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone in the audience, and Cajun
Yeah.
for jumping on.
Oh, yeah, and Cages too. My bad.
All right.
Yeah.
Y'all have a great evening. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.